Since the release of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, all new Harry Potter material has gone against canon in some way or another. Whether it be there are inconsistencies with the actual canon storyline, like in the case of Hogwarts Mystery, or they decided to change the entire timeline of the series, and sorry, I promise not to talk about that anymore. All except for one, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The only story that J.K. Rowling actually wrote herself, and well, funny that that's the one that fits with the actual canon, isn't it? But in the last few months, they've released a couple trailers for Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And let's just say problems are starting to be created. Now, a major factor we need to take into consideration is that it would have been very hard for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them to actually go against canon. Because unlike the other examples I mentioned earlier, it takes place on a different continent, on another side of the world, and doesn't use any characters from the original Harry Potter series, other than an author who's mentioned once for writing a book called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Grindelwald, who's mentioned a few times throughout the Deathly Hallows, but couldn't have really done anything that could have gone against canon, other than dying. And quite honestly, the first film fed into canon quite nicely, with Grindelwald asking Newt about Dumbledore, taking interest into an obscurial, which since the release of the film has provided a pretty good solution to what happened to Dumbledore's sister Ariana, and finally making a big speech about how the wizarding world should come out of hiding and reveal itself to the Muggle world for the greater good, which we learn in the Deathly Hallows is basically Grindelwald's motto. Point is, for this film to have gone against canon, it would have had to have done something ridiculously stupid, and it didn't, so it's still canon in my books. For now. But now, with Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, the story is once again taking place in Europe. And they've introduced quite a major character from the Harry Potter series, Albus Dumbledore. And let me tell you, it's creating problems with the canon. Starting with the very first shot of Dumbledore, and this is a slight annoyance as he's specifically described as having long hair, which he clearly doesn't have, that is the colour auburn. At least in about 10 years time when he first met Tom Riddle, that's how he's described. But I'm gonna be a little biased here because I feel like most of us quite like Jude Law as an actor, and I feel like he'll do the part justice, at least more than some people. So I'm gonna let this one slide because a character's appearance isn't going to be enough for me to hereby declare it uncanon. The real problem is that the trailer opens with Albus Dumbledore teaching defense against the dark arts. And this has sparked outrage. Because of course there was that one time in the 7 books that Dumbledore was described as the Transfiguration Professor before he became headmaster. When in the Chamber of Secrets, during the book Chamber of Secrets, a memory of Tom Riddle from 1943 tells Harry only the Transfiguration teacher Dumbledore seemed to think Hagrid was innocent. I imagine to someone who has no knowledge of Harry Potter, that would have sounded awfully confusing, so apologies to those of you who have only seen the film. But even those people who have only seen the films may remember a certain Professor Merrythought that Tom Riddle mentions in The Half-Blood Prince.
Sir, is it true that Professor Merrythought is retiring?
Tom, I couldn't tell you if I knew.
And she's important because Dumbledore says around the time of Tom Riddle, which was about 15 years after Fantastic Beasts, defense against the dark arts was being taught at the time by an old professor of the name of Galetta Merrythought, who had been at Hogwarts for nearly 50 years. And while it never explicitly says she taught defense against the dark arts for the entire 50 years, it is implied, so I don't see why she isn't the defense against the dark arts teacher in this scene. I would have quite liked to meet Professor Merrythought. Why does Dumbledore have to teach defense against the dark arts? For plot convenience? You need him to learn about Newt's boggart, so obviously he has to teach the lesson where you learn about that. Shame! Shame! Seamus does not approve of this. I honestly think people are quite rightfully mad about this, and it got so bad that Pottermore has responded to these complaints, saying, in the Harry Potter books, we know that Albus Dumbledore used to teach Transfiguration. Now we see him teaching defense against the dark arts. Was he subbing in? In an interview of Entertainment Weekly, Jude Law says Dumbledore wasn't teaching Transfiguration at this stage. We know Dumbledore is a multi-talented guy, so he probably did both. It doesn't go against canon technically, but I still see it as a problem, and while there's probably multiple good explanations for it, if it doesn't get explained, I'm gonna be annoyed. And while I can't say for sure who's looking back on this memory or why someone's looking back on this memory, it's probably Dumbledore, and it reveals to us that Newt's biggest fear is working in an office. Which isn't breaking canon in any way, I just bring it up because it also sparked outrage. But I don't know, I kinda get it. While my biggest fear is by no means working in an office, I get having an existential fear. He isn't actually afraid of desks as ignorant people seem to believe. He's afraid of the idea of wasting his life away working in an office, and a desk resembles that. And the fact it's his biggest fear to not spend his life working and helping magical creatures just resembles Newt perfectly. Why are people complaining about this? Isn't it quite normal to fear you're going to waste your life away? Isn't it? The trailer then continues with a Tina scene that I don't really understand what's going on. But what I really want to focus on is the voice in the background.
Magic blooms only in rare souls.
It's Grindelwald speaking, and while what he's saying fits up with his character perfectly, Johnny Depp is American, and well, sounds American. Grindelwald, on the other hand, is not American. I don't think we specifically know where he's from, but he went to Durmstrang, which is based in Northern Europe. And since he seems to be some sort of wizarding parallel to Hitler, most people assume he's either from Austria or Germany. Also, there's a real-world village called Grindelwald in Switzerland, so I think it's safe to say he's from that region of the world. All those countries touch each other at one point or another. And maybe I'm grasping at straws, but they did get a Bulgarian actor to play Victor Krum, so why couldn't he at least put on some sort of European German accent? Again, it's a small complaint, but Grindelwald shouldn't sound American. This speech is then followed by a scene of Newt and Dumbledore apparating, and can we just for a second? Basically every scene of Newt and Dumbledore we've received so far has involved some sort of apparition. Why? What are they doing? I guess we'll just have to wait until the film comes out. However, I have made an interesting discovery from these Newt and Dumbledore scenes, being that all of them take place in the United Kingdom. And since Dumbledore is clearly teaching at Hogwarts at the time of the film, I don't think he goes to Paris. Meaning this "you're gonna have to be the one to face Grindelwald" scene probably happens relatively early in the film, because the main events of the film take place in Paris. I think Newt is about to leave and has his passport in his hand during this scene, and Dumbledore is saying, "I'm not coming," showing there's a good chance Dumbledore isn't actually going to be as important to this film as some people seem to believe. I mean, he's gonna have a short reunion with Newt, they're gonna apparate around London for a bit for some reason, then he's gonna send Newt to Paris to go see Nicholas Flamel and presumably Credence as well. And I think his part will be over within the first half hour after Newt leaves for Paris, and this scene here will probably be his last scene. Because if the film is mostly taking place in Paris, which it's pretty clear it is, I don't see why they'd keep flashing back to Dumbledore at Hogwarts. That wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, I'm calling it. Dumbledore's part in this film isn't actually going to be that big. I know it sucks, but it also makes sense, because no matter how much people want to believe it, this is not Dumbledore's story. It's Newt, Credence, and Grindelwald's story. He's just the one who's going to save the day in the end. And while that's all well and great, that's 3 films down the line and 18 years into the future, and there's still something from this trailer I want to talk about. The final Dumbledore scene where he sees Grindelwald in the Mirror of Erised. Wait. I thought everyone was outraged because they don't share a scene together in this film, but what does this look like to you? This is them sharing a scene. What? Now, I'm not going to flat out say, oh, this can't be canon. Harry says that Dumbledore would see his family in the Mirror of Erised, because what you see in the Mirror of Erised can and does change over time. And I know for a fact this will be explained in the film, so I'm not going to overthink it too much, but I don't get why he sees Grindelwald. Like, I don't think you guys quite understand. This film will take place 28 years since he last saw Grindelwald. Like, seriously, Dumbledore, you knew him for like 2 months. Move on already. But on a serious note, there is no way that's still what his heart desires 28 years later. Surely by then, he'll have realized it's a mistake and want Ariana back, right? The only way this would make sense for me is if his heart desires taking down Grindelwald once and for all. But if he wants that so bad, why did he wait another 18 years? Dumbledore, you're so confusing. You're literally a human equivalent of an "it's complicated" Facebook relationship status. You know that? If this video has revealed one thing, it's that I'm nervous that there's a chance they might break canon with Dumbledore. Because I don't know if they really care about whether they go against canon or not, and that makes me nervous. I don't know, this trailer was so good and there was so much to take in from it, and while this is all I've got for you guys today, I'm gonna have another video about the trailer coming out later this week, so make sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, check out my other social medias including Twitter and Instagram, and give me a follow. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking here. You can watch another video by clicking here. After whenever I release the video later this week, you can probably watch that by clicking here, if I remember to put it here. You can check out my merch here and in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. The trailer's been out for like 5 days, and I'm sorry this took so long to come out. I really am.